you, Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Climate Change and Energy. How is the Albanese Labor government supporting regions in the transition to a clean energy economy? How does the government's energy policy complement the government's priority to create manufacturing jobs?
The call to the Minister for Climate Change and Energy.
Well, thanks very much, Mr Speaker. I thank the honourable member for her question and recognise her leadership on regional jobs and renewable energy, and she knows they go hand in hand. And I'm very pleased to report to the member for Bendigo and the House the latest figures from the Clean Energy Regulator released in the last 24 hours showing large-scale renewable energy investment up 50% last year, Mr Speaker, 50% last year. And the Clean Energy Regulator advises me a significant majority of that increase occurred after May, Mr Speaker, after May, because the only thing holding Australia back was not a lack of renewable energy, it was a lack of policy. 22 energy policies in 9 years, Mr Speaker. I'm also pleased to inform the House.
Order. Members on my right. I know it's Thursday and everyone's a bit excited, but can everyone just remain silent so I can hear from the Manager of Opposition Business?
Well, Mr Speaker, on relevance, that question contained absolutely no reference to the policies of the previous government. We referred to how does this government's policy complement this government's manufacturing policy. The minister, who is a serial offender,
resume your seat. Resume your seat. I'll uphold the point of order. There was no comparison to the former government. I ask the minister to return to the question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I can also inform the House that electric vehicle sales are up 87% on the latest figures, thanks to the electric vehicle tax cut put through by the government, opposed by the opposition. Now, Mr Speaker, under the Albanese government, we don't just want to make renewable energy in Australia. We want to make what makes renewable energy in Australia. Right. We want to make solar panels and batteries and electrolysers and transformers, Mr Speaker, in Australia. And that's why we have the National Reconstruction Fund. And up to $3 billion is allocated for clean energy investments, Mr Speaker. And $1 billion is allocated, as the Minister for Resources said, for adding value to critical minerals. We are the world's largest supplier of so many critical minerals, but we also want to process and add value, and that takes investment, and that takes governments working together, because this means jobs. Now, who could be, Mr Speaker, against such a policy? Who could be against investing in Australian jobs? Well, perhaps the same operation that opposed the 43% target being legislated, which has attracted so much of that renewable energy investment. Or perhaps the same people who opposed the electric vehicle tax cut, Mr Speaker. Or perhaps the same people who opposed their own safeguard crediting mechanism that they suggested just 12 months ago, Mr Speaker. When the member for Hume's not congratulating himself on Facebook, he's in a debate with himself about policy, about safeguard mechanisms.
The minister will resume his seat. I haven't called the manager yet. I will call the manager when the House comes to order. The Minister for Climate Change and Energy will soon be back on the microphone. I don't need to hear from him just yet. The Manager of Opposition Business on a point of order.
The minister is defying your ruling. You are very clear in what you directed the minister to do, and he is ignoring you. He's once again
resume your seat. Resume your seat. Just invite the minister back to the question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Albanese government is getting on with a policy of investing in manufacturing and investing in the energy transition. And as the previous ministers have said, we will do so with or without the support of the opposition, because it tells the Australian people a lot about the opposition. They're against our policies, they're against their own policies, Mr Speaker. This is what happens when you have a leader of the opposition with no ideas of his own, no vision for our country, not prepared to act in the national interest. We know that members opposite know that these policies are in the national interest. We read about the shadow cabinet reports, and yet they still vote against it. This is what happens, Mr Speaker, when you have a leader of the opposition who is all opposition and no leader.